What's going on, people? Ben and Brittany here from benandbrittany.net, and we just bottled our very first ever home brew of cranberry wine. I've been doing a lot of research. Creating wine has become an obsession of mine, and I couldn't be happier with the way this one turned out. We both poured a glass, and we're impatient, and we didn't want to wait for it to age, so...
It tastes great, though.
Yeah, it does. It smells great. It tastes like a mouthful of cranberries, and it's about between 9.5 and 10% alcohol, so it's like an easy drinking wine, but that's perfect for us, and it would go perfect with Thanksgiving dinner.
It doesn't have that heat that we read about. Ben did a ton of research, and I guess, correct me, because I'm going to say this incorrectly most likely.
Go ahead.
But the purpose of aging the wine is so the alcohol and the flavors blend better together, right?
Yeah, everything, the wine's complexity starts to stand out. Complexity meaning like the different levels of flavor. There's not a whole lot of complexity to this because this is just an unoaked like cranberry wine. Like this is fruit forward with cranberry with subtle notes of cranberry and a hint of cranberry. Like it's super cranberry.
It is. It's like cranberry juice, but you can tell it's wine.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And there was one of the other wines we were trying. We also have a Merlot, a Chardonnay, a Lime, and a Concord. And some of the other ones still have that hot flavor, meaning there's alcohol in it. It kind of tastes a little bit like somebody poured a little bit of vodka in it, and you get that heat. You can tell it's alcoholic.
You feel it in your throat like a kick.
Mm-hmm. And then
sure.
The aging process makes that all go away, and it blends together nicely, and it just becomes a subtle flavor.
I'm excited for the Merlot, though.
The Merlot is going to be banging. I've tasted it 2 weeks ago, and I've tasted it like a couple of days ago, and there's already a huge difference.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Merlot seems to be my favorite red dry wine with food.
Mm-hmm.
It's been harder for me to find, because I like sweet wines most of the time, and I've been getting more comfortable with the dry wines, but I have to have them with food. It's definitely something that I have to pair with. It's not something that I would drink by itself like I would this cranberry wine.
Yeah, but this wine, it's not incredibly sweet. It's tart, but it is sweet. It's weird because I didn't back sweeten it at all. So it started out starting gravity of 0.90, and it ended right around 1. So it's a right around 10%. And I'm getting into wine technology or wine lingo.
I feel like
right
we
now.
might be losing people.
No, sorry, I won't do that
this
anymore.
This isn't the point of the podcast either.
I fermented a lot of the sugars out of
it,
so it got dry, but it still has an overwhelming cranberry flavor. So there's not a ton of sugar in here, but there's a little bit.
I never knew how nerdy Ben was until he started winemaking, and he just starts rattling off all these chemicals, and his eyes twinkle, and he gets super excited like a kid on Christmas.
Yeah,
and I'm
she's
I had no idea.
And I look at her like she's an idiot sometimes. Like she'll be like, "What are you putting in now?" And I'm like, "Potassium metabisulfite."
And I'm like, "Right, I'll get back to work."
What's that gray stuff? Bentonite? It's clarifying.
He's like, "I've only told you 503 times."
Yeah.
And it's like, just let me know when it's ready. Yeah. Let me know if you need me to hold a bucket. I'll help. If he needs me to help him with something, I'll hold something. I'll help rack. But when it comes time to the chemicals, I'm like, that is all you.
I'm the ingredient. I'm the cook. Brittany, she helps me out with a lot of sanitization. If anybody is worried about our wine, if you want to try our wine someday and I can get you a bottle, you don't have to worry about it not being sanitary because you have a sanitization queen over here.
I'm OCD clean, and then on top of that, I sanitize everything, including his hands. We're spraying.
Yeah, we were spraying each other.
Then I crunched the numbers. So Ben gave me a list of how much everything costs. We're going to break it down per ounce, so that way we can do a plan to figure out how much wine we can budget to make in the next year, with hopes to be able to give some away. But we'll talk more about that.
Yeah, step one is to see how much it's going to cost us to give samples to a large group of people and
Keyword there is give.
give. Yeah, we can't sell it. Like
We don't have a
it will
license.
say not for sale right on the label. If you end up like
Because we don't want to get
bottle,
sued.
we're not doing this for money.
And that's the old HR person in me. But
Yep. But it's just something we love to do. We have the age-old dream of one day having our own winery, and we're like, hey, why not start now? Making our own stuff, and it's very rewarding to sit here and drink our own home-brewed cranberry delicious wine.
And just in
podcast.
time, because we ran out. We stocked up for quarantine, and we started to run out, and Ben was, every time he was going to the grocery store to get groceries, he's the designated shopper for the family, and he would have to get wine, and the wine selection has gotten smaller and smaller and drier and cheaper and ickier. And finally, this was ready, and it tastes great. So I was like, well, that's what I'll drink then.
Yeah.
So perfect timing, and it'll give us plenty of years to experiment and perfect and
Oh, we will make the
Have
best
fun.
wine.
Ben
For my tongue, you know. I don't care what France thinks about my wine.
goes in head first, and then he goes deep.
Yeah.
He's gonna go all the way.
I'm one of those people that, like, if I get stuck on something or if I find something I enjoy, like, I drive it home all the way. Like, in any of my free time, like, you will find me, like, I research about how to make wine while I'm sitting on the toilet. Full disclosure. That's how deep into it I am.
Anywho,
That's why my poops are 30 minutes long, baby.
Benjamin.
I'm in there learning. I'm going to school. Killing two birds with one stone, you know what I'm saying?
Ew. Moving on.
Sorry. TMI, people. But quarantine is going well for us. We're staying positive. We're doing
As positive as we can.
positive we can.
We've had our moments.
Oh my God. And you know what our moments are? Homeschooling is hard. It's really hard. Like, really hard.
We are homeschooling a 6-year-old who's in 1st grade and a 3-year-old who's in a preschool program. And they sent us, each week, we get a big packet of stuff for the preschooler. Like, I think the preschooler has more activities to do than the 1st grader. The 1st grader stuff is a little bit more organized, though, and like easier to follow. So
It's an actual, like, real curriculum.
So that's why maybe I feel a little overwhelmed. But it's like 3 to 4 hours a day of homeschooling on top of I need to be doing business activities for like 5 to 8 hours.
Yeah, we still
a
have
day.
our full-time jobs that have not slowed down.
Ben
Like, I'm
is
not playing
still-
shows, but everything else is full tilt.
Well, Ben's been editing videos for the
You're
band.
making new
and,
music, all that stuff, yeah.
Yeah, writing and conference calls. And I have a ton of conference calls. We have like COVID-19 updates like twice a week. So yeah, it's just been a little, that part of it has been a little hectic. I don't think it would be fair to say that it's been all roses, but at the same time, I've appreciated the extra family time, and I've appreciated being able to wear leggings every day.
Brittany is currently wearing bunny slippers.
These are my daily flats.
I should use that as the thumbnail. Use your foot up.
That's how I live life on the quarantine. Like, I have my face on. I put my face on every day for my meetings. I do my hair half of the time, kinda. And then Under Armour leggings and slippers. So.
Yeah. But I'll tell you what, as a step parent and being new to, like, I'm 2 years into kids, let alone schooling. So, like, if you're a teacher and you do this for a living, like,
Hats off to
bow
you.
down. Bow down.
Yep.
It is.
I'm serious. I think I'm going to get Mrs. Wilhide like $100 gift card to
Oh
Target.
my God, yeah.
Like, I was just like, oh.
Like, she's getting whipped coffee or something.
Yeah, I've always like appreciated teachers. Like, Kaylin's always been blessed with really, really great teachers, and I've known that.
Miss Allison's great too.
Yeah, for Kinsley. But I just don't think I fully understood just how difficult it is.
Well, it's not difficult because you have to be there and do it with them. It's difficult because they focus like a broken camera. Like they don't.
There's a lot of bringing it back
in. You can't give them a task
Reeling
and say,
in.
"Here, go ahead and do this."
Yeah.
And then turn to the other one at the same time and give them a task, because as soon as you turn to the other one, this one's like, "Hey, what are you guys doing?" And I'm like, "Oh no, you need to do this. We'll be right back." And then she's still like, "Hey, what are you guys doing?" And I'm like, "Okay, well let's do you. You do this for a second." And then she's like, "What are you guys doing?" I'm like, "Hold on. Can you guys focus not on each other? Like it's not a competition to see who's doing the most fun activity. It's you have your work and you have your work.
And then we need to
just
get this done.
understand it. You're 3. Get it through your head."
Yeah.
They just don't.
I think today we finally realized that all of Kaylin's work has to be done. Like that has to be turned in, and she will be graded. And I don't think they would let her go to 2nd grade if we just didn't do any of her activities.
Yeah.
With that said, the preschooler, her stuff equally, I mean, it's very important. We want to keep her learning and up to par, if you will. But there's so many activities, we have decided that we're going to choose 2 to 3 a day. Mm-hmm. And hers might have to be more spread out, whereas Kaylin has to be a little bit more structured. Otherwise, she doesn't want to do it. So we're learning as we go. And by the time this is over, we might finally have it totally figured out. But that's okay.
Yeah, we hope so. Like, man, luckily my best friend is a teacher. And I called him and I was like, "Dude, what do we do to get two young girls to focus?" And he's like, "First thing you need to do is have a location in the house." So that was step 1 for us.
Right.
We
so
set
the
up,
office is now our office, wine storage, studio, and
where Brittany and I do all of our work is where the girls do all of their work. So we have little chairs and desks set up for them. And when they sit down in those chairs, it is school time.
Yep, and that way there's no distractions.
And that helped.
Yeah, and then he just let us know, like, this isn't going to be easy, and you are going to have to do it with them. And I think that was a good eye-opener because we kept thinking we could, like, sit Kaylin in front of the laptop and, like, have her watch a few videos and be done. Yeah,
and then us work while she's watching.
Right,
like,
there
didn't
was
work
this
that
perfect,
way.
yeah.
And my friend Clark was like, he's like, "Dude, they're monitored 24/7 at school, so like you can't expect them to work without being monitored at home." Like, and I was like, "Duh."
Right.
Like they are fully watched over every time they do an assignment. So why would we just be like, "Hey, knock that out. See you in 5."
Yeah.
It doesn't work.
I think it was just because we have to work and do the school thing, and then cook dinner, clean the house, because now that there's all 4 of us here 24/7, the kitchen blows up a lot quicker, the house gets messier a lot quicker, so we're trying to get the kids to clean up throughout the day, which doesn't always happen because we get stuck on conference calls, and then we get off the calls and all of a sudden we're like, what happened? Like, what just happened?
Yeah.
I
think the moral of this story is, if you're at home with kids and you are struggling, you are on the bus struggling, join the club. Because we are too. You're not alone.
Yeah.
If there's people that are on Facebook making it look easy, they're lying. No, there's no way around it. Thank God we have brand new cranberry wine. Because I got to get up and do this tomorrow.
Yeah, Ben and I have teamed up and we alternate days, so that way we each have like 2 full days, as much as we can, because you're a parent, so like there's not 100% dedication, but as much as we can, 2 full days where each of us can just focus on work, and then the other one handles school, and then we kind of have like 1 day a week where it's like kind of half and half. It just kind of depends on whose work needs their attention a little bit more that day, and we figure it out as we go. But it has been like a team effort. Otherwise, one person's job would super suffer.
Yeah.
And we couldn't let that, like, both of our jobs needed our attention, and that's been kind of the struggle. There's like this stigma of people being in quarantine means that we have all this free time because we don't have plans. Like, we can't plan to go meet up with people. We can't have dinner dates. We can't have functions. We can't do certain things. So like there's this stigma that there's all this free time, and I have to tell you, being in quarantine, I think I have less free time now than I ever did before.
Yeah, we definitely have less free time. I think there's a lot of families and a lot of people out there that do have more free time, and all the power to you. That's awesome. There is another side of the coin, and we are that. We're still working just as much as we were, but on top of that, we're homeschooling. And on top of that, we're all in one house together, so it's hard to focus. Like, we don't live in a big house, we have a condo. So our office...
It's a 2-bedroom house for 4 people.
Yeah. So that's where we are. And it's really hard to stay focused, because Brittany and I both have careers that, like, you can't just, okay, I'm gonna answer this email and then do this, and then answer this email. Like, you can't segment your work, especially like when I'm editing a video or something. Like there's a flow and a mindset and a focus that you need to be in, and if I work for 30 minutes, I'm on a roll, and I know what I'm doing and I know the flow of everything, and then if I get interrupted, it takes me 10 minutes to get back to where I was. So like the constant interruptions are super counterproductive, and we're trying to battle that by giving me like a day to grind. And then Brittany gets a day to grind on work, and the other one's teaching and dealing with raising kids. So
sometimes it's a day just to knock out paperwork. Like I had to file for the payment protection program, which they ran out of funds before I could turn everything in. They had like a list of stuff you had to turn in. I turned it all in, and then they shot me an email back with like an additional list of stuff, because they're like, oh, you're a realtor? Now we need all of this. And by the time I got everything together and turned it in, they were out. I guess more money might be added to that program. So we're saying on top of that, we have to file for unemployment, because now they're opening unemployment up for self-employed people. But there's like all these unanswered questions. Like, well, we earn our money and then get paid for it 3 months later. So like, because I can't show homes right now, my unemployment is going to hit me 3 months from now. Like, I'm getting paychecks this month from stuff I got under contract before quarantine.
Yeah.
So there's like all these questions, and the same thing for Ben. Like, the band is making money from stuff that happened months ago. They're finally seeing the money coming around. So it's like, how do we figure that out? So there's all these unanswered questions.
We're still like this financially. Our financial slump is coming.
Yeah, that'll hit us in the summer when things are like getting back to normal. That's when we're gonna feel the lull. So we're working through it and trying to stay optimistic, and I think
I will survive.
Yeah. We'll figure it out, like we always do. Yeah. This is probably the worst thing we've gone through together, but we've gone through periods of times without closings and paychecks, and we figured it out.
And we make it work. Yeah. We make it work.
We have to just stay optimistic. And I had like a rough week last week. Like, I kind of hit like a wall. And it kind of made me realize that I think going through the quarantine, it's different for everybody. Like, you have your extroverts who might have a ton of free time on their hands, and it's killing them. And it's not because they're so busy they can't handle it. It's because they thrive with social interaction.
Yeah.
And then there's people who might be enjoying quarantine. They're like, yeah, I'm getting paid. I'm watching movies. I'm getting caught up on Tiger King, like whatever floats their boat.
I saw some people posting, they were like, week 2 of quarantine, week 163 of just living like this. A lot of people were just introverts, you know?
Right, and then they're fine. And then there's other people who, they're considered essential, and they have to go to work, and they're afraid because they don't want to get exposed, and they don't want to bring it back to their families. And then there's people, I just feel like there's people on both sides of the fence. You have the people who are essential workers jealous of the people on unemployment, and then you have the people on unemployment jealous of the people who are essential workers. And I kind of think, I was telling Ben, my analogy for it would be like, we're all going through the same storm, but we're experiencing it in different ways. Maybe if you wanted to compare to, we're all on different boats.
Yeah.
So like, our boat might be like this little John boat, and we're feeling a lot of the rockiness. Like,
yeah, we're like, you guys are on a cruise ship over there. We're in this little dinghy paddling.
Right. And you have other people who are like more smooth sailing. They're not feeling the the current as much, if you will. And then you have other people who maybe they've lost someone to COVID-19, or they have a loved one in the hospital right now fighting for their life, and they're going, you're worried about money, I'm worried about my family members being able to survive. And that's a whole nother ball game that I hope that we don't have to experience. So
two entirely different sets of emotions.
Right.
I think.
Yeah. It just made me realize that, we shouldn't be judging other people's quarantine situation because we don't know what it's like to be in their boat.
Nope.
And
they can't even invite us aboard because we've got to stay 6 feet away. This is a bad joke. I apologize.
Right. Oh, Benjamin.
Oh, I am the worst at dad jokes. Man, this wine is good though.
It sure is. The silver lining, we've had a little bit of extra time on the weekends because I'm not showing homes on the weekends. We have had the weekend to be able to kind of breathe, which is where we've been concentrating on this a little bit.
Make one.
And I would say another silver lining would be we have also been forced, maybe this is more me, Ben spearheaded it, but I was guilty before the quarantine of not taking the time to teach the kids life skills. And a lot of the times it was because I was like, well, either A, I'm mom, and I'll absolutely do that for you. Keep playing your iPad game. I'll go get you a drink. Secondly, it may have been because I was in the middle of writing an offer and it was way quicker if I just did it.
And that's usually the case, I think, in a lot of situations.
Yeah.
You're like, I don't have time. Like, especially, like, for instance, buckling. Kinsley can buckle herself, but it takes 6.5 minutes. So more often than not, I buckle her up. And I think a lot of parents can relate to that.
Because we got places to go and things to do.
Yeah, and I'm like, yo, I didn't leave 6 minutes extra before we need to get to where we're going, so get in there and turn around. I got you.
Right. So quarantine has, because we are juggling so many different hats right now, we've realized that, okay.
You don't juggle hats. You juggle balls, not hats.
But we're wearing different hats.
Okay. Continue, sorry.
It's my analogy. So we realized, thanks to Ben, he definitely spearheaded this, that we need to teach them some life skills, because if him and I are doing all the teaching, we're both working full time, cleaning the house, doing all of the chores, like we were putting the kids like a half hour to an hour to bed early, like no joke, telling them it was bedtime, because him and I were like hitting the hay by like 8 o'clock. We were like, we're so tired. So we started teaching the kids like how to fold towels and Ben taught them how to make scrambled eggs. Now they can't use the stove without supervision, but it was just a good thing to teach them.
No, but it was pretty cool to be able to talk a 6-year-old through scrambling her own eggs.
Right.
And she did it. Like I got her to be able to do it without me touching. Like obviously I made sure she wasn't getting close to the burners, and I made her sure she knew the danger zones. But she scrambled her own eggs and I didn't touch a thing, and that was pretty cool. I was like, man, I just taught her something.
Yeah. Well, I think the coolest part is seeing how proud of themselves they are. Like we took some time and we put all of the snacks they're allowed to have at their level. So we cleared off a counter space so they have like a snack section where they can help themselves. We put their pre-made lunches in the refrigerator in an area where they can reach it, their drinks in an area where they can reach it. So throughout the day, if we're on conference calls or we're busy working, they know they can help themselves to certain items by themselves. And they get so proud when they put their own sandwich on their own plate and bring it to the table. And they're like, I made myself lunch today.
Yeah.
It's big for them.
I think it's really cool because we leave everything at their level, including some candy. Like Easter was recent. If you're watching this video in December, like Easter was recent when we're shooting this. So they have a little bit of candy. So we leave a little bit of candy at their level too. And they have the ability to manage their little food stash. And sometimes it's really cool. Like they're starting to get it. Like at first, I think they wanted to eat all the good snacks first. But now, after they did that once, and then they realized, oh man, like I don't get replenished for like another 2 days. I have no snacks for the next 2 days. And they realized that, and we didn't give them more snacks.
Right,
like,
we were like, oh, this was supposed to last you till Thursday, and it didn't. So.
And now they're going, graham crackers or jelly beans? I think I'll have the graham crackers now because I know I'm going to want the jelly beans later. And you're just like, oh,
Yeah.
they're managing.
They're figuring out how to like ration and not eat everything all at once.
Yeah, because I knew I couldn't do that as a kid. And jelly beans are gone.
They can change the toilet paper roll now.
Oh yeah.
Which is big. And
I just learned how to do that.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
We've been working on that for 2 years. But it's not perfect, but it's one less thing that we have to do. So I don't care. And they're so proud of themselves. Like they help fold the towels and they put them away and they're so excited that like they did it.
Yep.
And I think that's been a huge lesson learner for me. Like, you know what? Maybe it takes a little extra longer to teach them how to do things up front, but then once they get it. And then they're more independent and they're happier with themselves, and then that's one less thing that we have to do.
Mm-hmm. They become self-sufficient, self-soothing, and that's good, especially when you're self-employed parents. There's some things that you need to teach them how to do because you can't do everything for them. There's no disrespect to parents that want to do everything for their kids. That's fine. We just don't really have that ability, so we try to make them do it on their own. They're little grown-ups.
Yeah.
Which is cool.
Quarantine has made them grow up, and it's definitely opened my eyes to a lot of things, especially like the judging thing, because we don't know how other people really feel in that situation. So to always say like, well, it looks like it's easier on your side of the river, it may not be, especially for their personality. And I kind of think with the quarantine, a lot of people almost needed to like grieve.
Be like, this is happening.
Right. Like take a breathe. Like they almost need to take like a couple days to just let it sink in. Like for example, people who have small businesses, like they're most likely not going to hit their financial goals for the year.
Oh yeah.
And that's hard. That's a hard pill to swallow when you've been working so hard.
Especially if you're one of those people like that has something that got shut down, and you're like, I put my entire life into this. Like I couldn't imagine that. Like putting your entire life into something and then having to be shut down by the government and like,
right.
Man, heart goes out to those people, like small restaurant owners. Mm-hmm.
Right.
Man.
Or the people who are working like ridiculously long hours as essential workers, and
hats off to those people.
It's just a big eye opener. Is you don't know what it's like to walk in someone else's shoes until you've actually done it, and we haven't. So
there's a lot of diversity right now, more so than ever, I think.
Right, and I think it's just important that we understand that we're all in it together, but we're not all going to experience it the same way. And we shouldn't have expectations that everybody, function at this certain level, because it's hitting different personalities, different careers, different businesses, different families. It's hitting everyone so differently. Mm-hmm. And we just can't judge. And I think right now, all we can do is try to spread positivity and find the silver linings and, take the weekend. Like if you have a day off, like I've been really trying really hard to enjoy family time on the Saturdays and Sundays because we don't have to do school. I don't have to log into Zoom meetings. I'm not scheduling consultations on the weekends because I don't have to right now. And I'm trying to take that time to allow myself to breathe a little bit and do a little bit of that self-care, because we shouldn't forget to do that. Even though it's a little harder when you have kids around 24/7. But Ben and I, try to give each other, like Ben's really great at making sure the kids don't interrupt me, like when I'm in the shower. Like give me that.
That's mom time.
Right, like
Back
give
off.
Mom the shower time, And like Ben's been going for runs in the morning, like just give him that time. Mm-hmm. And I think it's important because no one's used to either being so isolated this long, and families are not used to not getting breaks ever from each other at all.
True. And I started running recently every morning. We were all doing home workouts together, and that was great. And I got a great workout. Beachbody kicked my ass, full disclosure.
Yeah, we were doing that just to try to get the girls to get moving too. Mm-hmm.
But when I started running, it gave me like some sort of, it put my mind at ease a little bit. Like I got to do some real thinking, I got some real clarity. Like there's a golf course right out here, and I would just run the cart path, and it felt like it was me and nature, and just, it was a relief. It was very necessary. I came back from that run feeling better than, just being cooped up. Like, I love my family, don't get me wrong, but like being cooped up with the same
Like
surroundings
four
for
walls.
too long. Like, man, you just got to get out, even if it's a walk. And I think it's good to take some time for yourself too. Like, that was important for me. And I took it, and it was 45 minutes in the morning, and I feel like a new man. Definitely.
I definitely need to do that. I used to always get my best ideas running. Like I love the beach body workouts in the sense of it's a workout. Like you're definitely getting in your cardio and strength training and all that stuff. But I can't really think about anything because I have to pay attention to what the instructor's doing.
Yeah, and it's a constant mind.
Yeah, it's using my brain power. But running was always just, like you said, it was freeing and a clarity break. And then like my best ideas would come to me when I was running, or that anxiety, that stress that was building up that I was starting to get to the point of like about to break from all the stress. It's like I was able to pound that out on the pavement.
Yeah.
And that's something that I miss. So I think
I always thought of it as like exhaling. Like every time, like when I would stop from running and I would take a deep breath, I go,
like an active
Like that.
meditation.
yeah.
For people who can't just sit there.
It's a good way to look at it. It's active meditation. Is that a word?
I don't know.
Is that a thing? It probably is, but
Let's create
If
a
it's
hashtag
not-
for it.
hashtag active meditation.
Let's what's that called? Is it a coin term?
You coined the phrase.
Let's
But I don't. There's no way that. Okay.
You never know.
I'm not hopeful that active
never know.
meditation is not already being used.
Someone, it always starts somewhere.
Absolutely.
It probably hasn't. I probably heard it somewhere. I read it in an article and I just can't remember.
Yeah.
I read a lot and I follow a lot of really positive people that I can see them saying it.
Yeah. So do I. Sometimes you're just like, how do you stay so positive all the time?
You have like, people say, why would you read like the same book twice? Or like books that are super similar, or like follow podcasts that talk about the same stuff over and over and over again. And it's because that repetition, you need it. Anytime I start to feel myself like lose motivation, I read a really great book that's really motivating and it gets me back up again. And it might say almost the same exact thing as the book I read before, but you start to forget it.
You just need to hear it again.
You need to read it again, hear it again, whatever your way of getting information. And yeah, like I love Rachel Hollis. She's one of my motivating people to go to. You like,
I like Jay Shetty.
and who's the other guy? The bald guy.
Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he has a lot. He himself is very inspirational and positive, and he has a lot of inspirational and positive guests. Like, that's what he does. He interviews people that know what the hell they're talking about. And you can pretty much go to his podcast to learn about anything.
Right.
So I think that's pretty cool.
Yep. So just surround yourself with positivity. If you've got nothing else to do, look up positive podcasts and let it soak in. Because you need that. You need all the positivity. Turn off the news.
Or find a hobby. Start making wine or something.
Yeah.
Let me know. Hit me up. I will get you started. I know what to do now.
He is the wine expert.
I made a beautiful wine. I'm so happy. Like, you guys have no idea
When we
the
open,
joy I'm feeling from being able to drink this wine that I think is super good.
the only thing that we have to figure out is a wine that doesn't make me stuffy.
This
wine
does?
This wine makes me stuffy. So far, the only wine that doesn't make me stuffy is Niagara.
Niagara grapes.
Niagara grapes do not make me stuffy, but every other wine, like I love it. Even Punked, I love it. But if I have more than one glass, it like stuffs me up.
I don't know, baby. I don't know what it is.
But Ben will be, when we open up our winery someday, we've already agreed. Like, he's going to be pretty much the winemaking expert. I'll help when needed.
I'm going to be in the lab.
My job is going to be like the business side of things.
Business side, making things pretty. She tasked me with pricing everything out, like down to the penny. And I got as best as I could, and I was like, Brittany, I'm just going to give you this information because I don't know what to do with it from
And
here.
I was like, I will take it from here. I got it.
So we're definitely Team BG. Cheers, baby.
Cheers. And great job.
Great job to you, too.
You really did a good job on this. This is very, I mean, I expected our first,
I thought it was going to suck.
yeah, I did. I was just, because like, who you're not normally good at things the first time you do it.
Yeah, I'm super proud.
But he did so much research. Like, I remember making this, like being with you and helping you and stuff. Like, he knew exactly how much he had to put in of each chemical or whatever you call it.
I knew what could be variable, what shouldn't be variable, and I kind of played around and we made our own thing here. And you know, there's certain guidelines that you have to follow. Like, you have to balance it. You have to end the fermentation when you're done. You have to make sure it's at a certain temperature and drop your yeast. But like, the ingredients that you use and the ways that you get the flavor are pretty much up to you. Like, you can ferment anything that has sugar in it. We chose cranberries, and it worked.
Yeah.
I'm happy.
He went out last week and bought a wine from we won't say the name because it's not good for them. It's semi-local winery, and we did a blind taste test. Well, he did that with me, and I liked our wine better. Mm-hmm. And the other wine tasted watered down, and there wasn't a lot of flavor. And I like tons of flavor.
Yeah, she wants it to be like kick you in the face with like she likes sweet, full-bodied wines, and that's what we're trying to accomplish. We want full-bodied wines. I like a drier wine. She likes a sweeter wine. This cranberry is like in the middle. You can't tell if it's tart, sweet, dry. You don't know what this is. It just tastes like cranberries. You know? It tastes like you're biting into a cranberry.
So,
but
I do like rosés. Mm-hmm. I've been leaning towards, and I liked the Merlot with spaghetti and chocolate. Oh, that was my favorite.
Merlot with chocolate.
Oh, man. You would have the bite of the chocolate, and then I would sip some of the Merlot, and it tasted like chocolate-covered fruit. It was amazing.
It was. I remember that.
Yep. I could easily get fat off of that. Very easily. So that's why we don't have chocolate in the house, except right now because it's Easter, and I keep like sneaking little miniature Snickers out of the girls' basket.
See, I don't have a huge sweet tooth like you do. I haven't been sneaking a whole lot of candy.
No, I have.
I've been eating though. I definitely got the quarantine 13 going on. Like, I'm gaining weight. It was okay.
I had lost weight for a little bit because I was like so like frazzled and stressed. But like the last couple of days, I'm feeling better. Mm-hmm. Therefore, I've been eating again. So
we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But anyway, people, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. That's pretty much a synopsis on our first ever homemade wine, cranberry. Yeah. Also, homeschooling and just generally how we quarantine. Yeah. So yeah, I'm probably gonna title this "Homemade Wine, Homeschooling, and Quarantine." Thanks for listening, guys. Go visit benandbrittany.net. There will be a time in the future where you can sign up to be a taste tester. We'll see how that goes. It's kind of a infancy business plan to share, but
yeah, that's why
we're talking about that right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So hopefully we can share this with everybody. So go to benandbrittany.net, and we'll see you guys in the next podcast. Yeah.
You're adorable.